Welcome, my friends. Tonight we dive into one of the greatest literary testaments to the endurance of the human spirit, The Grapes of Wrath, by the American novelist John Steinbeck, first published in 1939. This is not merely a story about a poor family. It is a cry from the dry soil, a hymn for those forgotten by the system, and a timeless reflection on dignity in the face of despair. The novel won the Pulitzer Prize and helped earn Steinbeck the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1962. It was banned in some U.S. states for being too political, yet it survived every attempt to silence it. Why? Because The Grapes of Wrath speaks to something eternal within us all, our hunger for justice, belonging, and hope. Chapter 1. When the earth dies, so does the dream. In the early 1930s, America was shattered by the Great Depression. Rain stopped falling, winds grew fierce, and the fertile soil of Oklahoma turned to dust. Farmers watched their crops wither, their barns collapse, their lives dissolve into silence. Among them lived the Joad family, simple, hardworking farmers. They had plowed this land for generations. But when drought came, so did the banks, faceless agents of power declaring, "This land no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the company." Machines tore through homes, leveling them to the ground. What was once life and memory became debris. And so the Joads, father, mother, sons, daughters, loaded up what little they had and began their long road west, toward a promise called California. Chapter 2. The Road West, the Illusion of Hope. Rumor had it that California was a land of milk and honey, fields full of fruit, farms begging for workers, and a new beginning for anyone willing to labor. The Joads sold their belongings for pennies, bought a rusted truck, and packed it with their dreams, their fears, and their entire history. On the dusty highways, they joined a caravan of the displaced, hundreds of families chasing the same mirage. Along the way, people died from heat, sickness, and exhaustion. Children were born by the roadside. Hope and grief traveled together. At the heart of the family was Ma Joad, strong as the land itself, yet gentle as a mother's song. She held the family together through silence and tears. Her strength became their faith. And then there was Tom Joad, the son just released from prison after serving time for killing a man in self-defense. Now he sought redemption, not through religion, but through purpose. Chapter 3. The Broken Promise. After endless miles, the Joads finally reached the golden hills of California, but paradise was an illusion. Work was scarce, and thousands competed for the same few jobs. Farm owners, greedy and calculating, exploited the desperation of the poor, offering starvation wages to those too hungry to refuse. Families built shanty towns from tin and cloth, living without clean water, medicine, or food. The American dream turned to dust in their hands. Yet even there, something powerful emerged: solidarity. Families began to share what little they had, discovering that compassion could exist even in the ruins of a world built on greed. Chapter 4. The Awakening of Tom Joad. Amid the suffering, Tom met his old friend Jim Casey, a former preacher who had lost his faith in churches but found a new kind of belief, one that placed human beings at the center of divinity. Casey said, "Maybe there ain't no sin and there ain't no virtue. There's just stuff people do. Maybe God's just the love we got for one another." Those words changed Tom. When Casey was later killed by police during a workers' protest, Tom's anger turned into purpose. He realized that the real fight wasn't for one man's survival. It was for everyone's right to live with dignity. Tom fled the authorities and began working secretly to organize the workers, spreading awareness, becoming the voice of the voiceless. Chapter 5. Ma Joad, the soul of the story. Through it all, Ma Joad remained the emotional spine of the novel. When men lost faith, she held them. When death entered their camp, she kept them moving forward. In the devastating final scenes, when her daughter Rose of Sharon loses her newborn baby, life seems to have reached its cruelest point. Yet out of that tragedy comes an act of staggering compassion. Rose offers her breast milk to a starving old man dying beside her, a silent, sacred gesture that redefines what it means to be human. It's a moment of unbearable beauty, where despair gives birth to mercy. Chapter 6. The Grapes of Wrath, a Human Revelation. The novel ends not in triumph but in awakening. Steinbeck does not promise victory, only the eternal flame of human resistance. The title, The Grapes of Wrath, comes from an old hymn. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. It symbolizes the righteous anger of the oppressed, the slow ripening of justice, and the hope that one day the harvest will come, and with it retribution for those who have trampled the weak. This is not just the story of the Great Depression. It is the story of every person who has been exploited, silenced, or displaced, and yet continues to believe in humanity. Closing reflection. The eternal resistance. When we close The Grapes of Wrath, we realize this isn't a tale about a single family. It's a mirror for us all. Tears, hunger, exile. These are not the end. The end is the refusal to surrender. Joad's final words echo across generations. Wherever there's a fight so hungry people can eat, I'll be there. Wherever there's a cop beating up a guy, I'll be there. I'll be in the way kids laugh when they are hungry and they know supper's ready. That is the soul of The Grapes of Wrath, the belief that even when the world collapses, compassion is rebellion, and hope is the most revolutionary act of all.